appreciate that. Any expert is somebody who's more than 15 miles away.
Amen, 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 amen. This is AfroEconomics, and we are celebrating Kwanzaa. Indeed, yes, we are. And I have all of these beautiful people around me because I want Cheryl, our speaker, to know that it is a family affair. Every time you speak, Cheryl, you will take over the screen. Like, you will see. I'm not sure what you see now, but just know that you are making a huge impact. So whoever's voice, like, so I'm going to unmute your family.
Okay.
So that's it. This starts, you are something else. So that you all can ask, but if you ask Cheryl a question, then you're going to take over the screen. So be comfortable with that. And then that's funny that your family that went to the dark. Y'all got to come out. You got to come out. Let us see. Let us see your face. Indeed, but I'm glad you hung in there. But fortunately, those of you who did check in first, you have the opportunity of, I'm not sure how you took over the screen. But those of you who took over, who actually logged in first, you came in as family. So this is interesting, but this is what Kwanzaa is all about. This is what it's all about.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Right.
Right. You're right.
So please help me and I want everybody to clap for her in helping and welcoming our AfroEconomics member, historian extraordinaire, the woman that's going to share some ideas. She goes around for free speaking at all of these churches and nonprofits, I know throughout Maryland. Now, and she decided that, and she's already been speaking earlier today, that she would actually share some information with us because, hey, that's what Kwanzaa is all about. And one of her, I can quote her on this saying, that Kwanzaa should not just be celebrated at this time of year. So, Ms. McLeod, tell us why.
Okay, all right, welcome everybody. Again, my name is Cheryl McLeod, and I've been actually engaged in Kwanzaa for quite a few years now. And each time I try to find a little bit more and go a little bit deeper in terms of the connection between our heritage and Africa. And Kwanzaa is a great way in which we connect. And as people here, particularly at this time when there's so much turmoil that's going on out there, our strength and our belief in ourselves and being solid and connected to each other is even more important. So one way that I would sort of like to maybe present is to share with you how I present it today. I did have a Kwanzaa program earlier today, and what I sort of did is I took, there's 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And I don't know if everybody knows what all of them are, but basically we have the Umoja, which is today, which is the first one, which means unity. And I'm going to speak a lot about that.
Okay.
All right. And we also have Kujigachalia, which means self-determination, Ujama, which is cooperative economics, Uumba, which is creativity, Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, Nia, which is purpose, and the last day is Imani, which is faith. And so the way that I always like to start any presentation that they give me is, lift every voice and sing. We know that as what the Negro National Anthem, right?
Yes.
Right. All right. So question becomes, do we know how we got started?
No.
Do we know its foundation? Do we know its history? That's one question.
Do you, Andrew?
And I'm going to answer that for you. The next question is, this is the kind of quiz where I can help you answer questions. Okay. The next question is, do we know all three stanzas of it? Because generally speaking, usually when we have events where we are singing the Negro National Anthem, what do? We just sing the first stanza. It has three stanzas to it. And it's important because the connection between our people and the message that we send and endure and connect to each other is in that song and is part of the principles of Kwanzaa and the reason why we even have Kwanzaa. So I'm going to connect all of that together. And we can, without a doubt, I'm not going to have to, I don't believe, be very specific about how this relates to us in economics, because we're gonna know it and we're gonna feel it and sense it. So I want to first start with Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I want to give you just a little bit of history, so now that you know. So on February 12, 1900, students of the segregated State Stanton School in Jacksonville, Florida, gathered for an Abraham Lincoln birthday celebration, where Booker T. Washington was the honored guest speaker. The principal, James Weldon Johnson, decided to write a poem entitled Lift Every Voice and Sing as his introduction of Washington during the celebration. What started as a poem later became a song when Johnson's brother, James Rosamond Johnson, set the words to music in 1905. So again, it started in 1900 as a poem and then set to music in 1905. The song's compelling lyrics served as a cry for freedom, liberty, and equality for all African Americans. They could subtly speak about racism, Jim Crow, and lynchings. And this led to it being dubbed as the Negro National Anthem by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, in 1919. So again, it started in 1900 as a poem. It became a song in 1905, and it was dubbed the Negro National Anthem in 1919. By the 1920s, many Black churches had copies of Lift Every Voice and Sing pasted into their hymnals. So I asked the group today, how many of them who go to church, they raise their hands, how many of them actually have Lift Every Voice and Sing now in their Bible? Not in, but as one of the hymns. And everybody said they do. A few people didn't know. I said, go check on Sunday or any day that you go, because that is how it's become. So it's important for us to sort of know how it started, because our roots are so very important in terms of our connection. So I always kind of start with giving people a little bit of history about that. Why? And so that's one reason why. Another reason why it's so important to honor Kwanzaa, the principles of it, and our connection with Lift Every Voice and Sing. As said, there are three stanzas to the song. We're not going to sing them all, but what is important is that normally we sing the first stanza. Lift every voice and sing, okay. But what we miss are the next two. And the next two, the second one starts with, stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. And then the third one starts, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright stars cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. And then at the very end, lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadow beneath thy hand, may me forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Those are about the people, the struggle, and the hope.
Let me play the little. Very good, sir.
I'm going to suggest to everyone, there is a video by the Balm in Gilead that was put together with for the Barack Obama's inauguration. You can find it on YouTube. I would suggest that you actually purchase the DVD because it's only $15 and it goes to their cause, which deals with addresses AIDS in the African American community. It is awesome because it goes through, it shows pictures and images of the struggles of which we have. And when you see it, it then helps you to understand and recognize how important this song is. And so what I encourage us all to do is to go through it, the whole thing, at least once, memorize the whole thing, share that with others, and speak when we go to events where they're going to sing the song in advance. Encourage them to have all of the songs sung and make sure that we stand at attention, that we stand when we sing. Everybody knows at a ball game, whatever else, you know, depending on what ball game it is, whether or not you're standing or you're kneeling. But the bottom line is that people know the Star Spangled Banner. But yet our people, we don't know our Negro national anthem. And it brings us so much closer together when we know it. That is connected to Kwanzaa and to our diaspora and everything that's about it. So I always like to start with that, just as something to think about and something to do. So let me stop there and just ask, are there any questions?
I think that, I mean, I would have never thought about that tie-in at all. And why did you think like that it was connected? Because of what Kwanzaa stands for? Is that what you're thinking? Like it kind of.
Yes. So, okay. So
Yeah.
let me answer that in regards to addressing the colors of Kwanzaa. Three major colors of Kwanzaa. Everybody knows it's red, black, and green, right? But if you didn't know, you know it now. Red, black, and green. Those are the main colors. They have a purpose and they have a definition as to why we've chosen those colors as celebrating Kwanzaa. So actually, there is the black, which stands for the people. Black stands for the people. The red stands for the struggle. And the green stands for hope and the land. And so when you address the Kwanzaa Kinara and you have the candles, and I didn't bring, you know what, I stopped off at the house and dropped off my stuff. So hold on a second, let me get a picture here. If I can pull it up here.
Yeah, you have a lot of members of your family.
Okay, so if you can see.
Oh, this is beautiful. Yes, perfect.
So we have the black, which is in the center, correct?
Oh, that's right, in the middle. Okay.
Okay, it's in the middle. It stands for the people. It is the first day of Kwanzaa, which is today.
Okay.
And that is why it is in the center, because all of Kwanzaa actually comes down to us as the people.
That's right.
And we are standing tall and firm. We're not over. We're standing tall and right smack in the middle. The other principles of Kwanzaa, Kujikalia, Ujana, and Kurumba, basically are red. Red stands for the struggle. And we have the struggle before we then have hope, which is the green. And the green gives us Ujima, collective working responsibility, Nia, purpose, and Imani, faith. And the last principle is faith. So when you think about it for a moment, let's think about why Kwanzaa is when it is. So it starts on the day after Christmas, the 26th of December. It starts in this year. And we begin about the people and the pride of us as a people. That's why Umoja is the first, and it is the black candle. As we move through the other principles, we first move through the principles of the red candle, because those are about our struggle. We then move through the other principles, green, which is about, and the last day of Kwanzaa is what? The first day of January.
Okay.
The day of a new year.
Okay.
And so actually what Kwanzaa does is it helps us to focus on us as a people, to take a look at our struggles and to learn from our struggles, and to then prepare for the future, which is a very positive way to look at what our year is going to be like. And so those 7 days are significant in terms of where they're placed and why. I'm one to say,
trying to get this.
It's awesome. I'm one to say Kwanzaa should be celebrated 365 days, 366 days when you have a leap year. Because those principles, faith, purpose, collective work, responsibility, self-determination, cooperative economics, creativity, those are foundations of which make us strong. And so when we put it in a perspective of dealing with the old and now beginning to start with the new, with us as a people right smack in the middle, then that's what propels us to start a new year in a much better place than where the old year was.
And what I found sure was interesting when you have these discussions, and then Kwanzaa talks about us helping each other.
Yes.
That's where a lot of people get quiet. And kids, they want to celebrate Kwanzaa, but I wonder, like, sometimes whenever I go to a celebration, I always ask people, like, do you really understand that means we're supposed to help one another? We're supposed to pull one another up. And I found that too many of the celebrations are just about commerce.
Yes.
And and not on why commerce is about building each other up.
Yes. Okay. So let me respond to you. And you presented us with some information about Black businesses and the success of Black businesses, and when they've been successful and when there've been a large number and everything else. One of the discussions we had today had to deal particularly with cooperative economics. And again, the power and strength that we have together, that we have as one. So I said, did you recall before desegregation, when it was segregated, we had cities, townships, neighborhoods that we owned, we had control over, they persevered, and we helped each other.
Amen.
And we supported each other. There were barbers, there were blacksmiths, grocers, pharmacists, churches, neighborhoods that we owned.
Yes.
We owned them.
Yes.
We took charge of them.
Yes.
We controlled them. Nobody else defined for us our success. We had each other and we worked together in that regard.
Yeah.
So I asked the people in the room, how many folks remember a time that occurred? And of course, our more senior people, they were called, and they could even name. They started naming cities and places where they lived. Can we do that today? When we think about it, if I was to ask, do we have those cities and townships today where we own our future and control it in terms of every aspect of our community? The answer is no. I don't know of any places here in America. There
Mhm.
are still places in other land. And so, but there aren't any places here. And so we have to stop and say, what happened?
That's right.
And that's where we talk about also with all of this, another important symbol is the Sankofa bird.
Oh, yes.
The
Our first principle. That's right.
Yes, your first principle and the Sankofa. Hello, there you go, my sister. And you really pay attention to that Sankofa bird.
Right.
What makes what you see is you see a bird whose neck is turned to the back, right? To the pad. But the feet are going forward.
That's right. That's right.
And so the meaning of that. Well, let me ask, does anybody know the meaning of, do you know it, sister JB?
Oh, yes, indeed. What you're doing right now, like every year we do the Sankofa Award, AfroEconomics Sankofa Award.
Yes.
And the first principle of AfroEconomics is legacy, knowing your why, knowing your, and as you were elaborating, the point of Kwanzaa is for us to help one another.
Yeah.
So when you know your why, because as I've grown as a person, I'm sure Andrew, one of our participants, I would love for you all to meet each other. I want him to elaborate, would share that as you mature, especially, as a person, as a business person, especially, you realize that our time here is limited. And the only thing that will extend our life is our legacy. So it's saying, go back. There's an egg. And that's why we started. When you first logged in, you saw Kathy with her son, in her lap. That this will impact his life forever. What you're doing, Cheryl, is fostering that egg. And while we're still moving forward with our life and progress, sometimes we think that we can't get ahead without helping someone else. We think if we help someone else, it's going to hold us back.
It's synergy. One is greater than two. And when we collectively begin to work together, oh my goodness,
that's right.
It explodes, and there's so many things that we can do.
That's right.
So another aspect of the Sankofa bird is about many of our traditions that we inherited from Africa that we don't even know what we do. So I did share my experience. The first time I went to Africa, I went to Senegal. And I started to see, there were two things that happened there that just moved me. First off, I shared this, we were brought over here without us wanting to come. And there were slave castles that were on the Western coast. And we were held there. And then we were put in these boats and we were shipped over. And there's this door in all of the slave castles called the door of no return. And that's what it's called. And it's a door that is rectangularly shaped vertically. And you step right to it, and it's the Atlantic Ocean. That's all it is, and it's up high. So without a doubt, it's the land of no return, because once you go out that door, you're not to return, because you don't see your loved ones again. That was the present experience at the time. When I landed in Senegal, and this was years ago, and recognized when you land a plane in Senegal at the time, it wasn't at the airport right at the terminal. You on the tarmac. You get off and you have to walk to the airport. As soon as we got off the plane, there were Africans all around us.
I love it.
We were saying, my sister, you are home.
Amen.
My sister, you have returned.
That's right.
There is no door of no return, because you are here.
That's right.
It wasn't about how much money I made. It wasn't about how good my do was. It wasn't about the clothes I wore. It was because I was African.
That's right.
And they embraced us.
That's right.
And so with that came my recognition about many traditions that were happening that I didn't have any purpose or understanding about. So we spent some time today talking about a few of those. So for example, what happens when guests come to a home, an African-American home, particularly in the South? So if you've got a house full of people and a family or guest comes in, the first thing that happens in terms of being the guest, I can't just come in, sit down and turn on football and watch TV.
That's right.
I have to greet everybody in that house.
Good for you.
Everybody. They all, you acknowledge everyone in that home.
Good for you.
And then after they feed you, and you don't turn down a meal.
That's right.
If you just went to McDonald's,
that's right.
In the circumstances that you are still going to be hungry because they are going to insist that you partake in meal.
That's right.
Because that is, again, the family, the connection of which we have.
I'm taking care of each other. Exactly. That's right.
Yes.
And that's gone.
Yes.
You will go, that's so, and that's amazing because down south, I remember going, traveling somewhere with some friends, and I got to the destination and they had no food for us. And I was like, isn't that what people do? Because I know in North Carolina, if guests were coming, everybody prepared food for them. So when we got to the destination, the ladies said, well, what do y'all want to eat? I mean, they really thought that we were supposed to go out to eat. It's really sad. And I'm just like, that is the reason why people waste so much money too, because it's so much cheaper to feed people through preparing food than everybody going out to a restaurant and giving away their money.
That's right.
Sure, I'm sure some people have some questions for you.
Okay.
Mr. Wells, do you want to ask a question? I'm gonna unmute you. Mr. Wells?
Hey, actually, I just wanted to chime in on Sankofa. I thought that was awesome how you guys were bringing that out. And hello, everybody, by the way. We're watching you guys on our big screen TV, so you might see me pick up because I can see you. We watching like primetime TV up in here.
Oh, that's so great.
Wells, just make some noise.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Y'all, they're all the way in Georgia, Cheryl.
We are in the South of which you speak.
Habari, Gani. Habari, Gani. Amen. Amen.
So the news is a moja, but I wanted to talk about Sankofa because I thought that it was important to remember in that concept, and you guys you're hitting at it, but to go back and get it. So it's not just to go back and look back for the purpose of observance, but it is the idea that something was left behind. And so there was something that was forgotten that's going to be necessary for the journey forward. And your hospitality example, I think, hit that on the head. So what we try to do in our family with our observance of Kwanzaa is we try to make it practical for our family life, but we make sure that we observe the things that we have learned from the past to make sure it's a part of our progress forward, not just something to observe, but it is our future to make sure that we don't leave anything important behind. So we're always walking forward, but we're doing like the bird looking back to make sure that nothing of value was left behind. That's all.
And time goes so fast. That egg is it grows so fast. You're so right. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Thank you. We have two Andrews on. That's why I had to call you Mr. Wells. Here's our other Andrew, Mr. Bozeman, and both of you are ministers, which is amazing. So I can't even say.
Amen.
Amen. It's amazing. Y'all, one in New York, one in Georgia. Y'all on different sides. But tell me, Pastor Bozeman, did you have something you would like to ask Cheryl about?
Well, I was curious because I've never celebrated Kwanzaa, and so in the lighting of the candles, you light a different one each day. Is that right?
Yes, and to just explain a little more, You start with the black candle because that's emotion, that's unity, that's the people. You then light a red candle each day, 3 red candles, which stand for the struggle. And then you light the green candles, which stand for hope. And what you do is you blow them out each day. So it's not like they perpetually burn.
That's right.
Just like with Sankofa, you want to recall what you already learned and did the time before, and then move forward. And so every day you start with the black, and then you do the black and a red, a black, a red and a red, a black, a red and a red and a red, a black, a red. You get my drift. And then on the 7th day is when all of the candles are lit.
But Andrew, Mr. Bozeman, Pastor Bozeman, would you agree that in the 70s when Kwanzaa first came out, that it was like if you were religious, you didn't do Kwanzaa? Like,
yeah, and it was ridiculed because it was Black people trying to create something, and since they had no history, it was something that was derided by the general population. But it held on.
Amen.
And it's longer. And I must admit there was probably some shame for me attached to it, because I was totally immersed in the other side and did not have the backing to hold steady with it. So I'm in the process over the last few years of coming back home. So I'm in very much a learning mode.
That's so good. And I feel that it is great for Kathy and Andrew and those of us that have younger children, that are getting the advantages of us having a relationship with God and appreciating Kwanzaa, because Kwanzaa just, appreciates faith, and it brings us together and doesn't allow religion to separate us. Like Malcolm X said, when we're talking about our community, when we're talking about our movement, we have to leave religion, everybody follow your religion of choice, but we all know that there's God, and this is going to get us, to a better day.
What's exciting for me is that it's deepening. It has survived that initial period of being laughed at, and now it has moved to the point where it is being accepted and growing and deepening in its meaning within our hearts. It being just something that Black people do to validate themselves.
And I'm so glad that nobody has tainted it. It hasn't been, tainted in any way where people, were able to, change the second phase and, the second day, change the name. But, because of people like Cheryl that have just, fought and paved the way for it to just keep its purity. So, and it's because there's just very little in this world that is in its purest form. And I would love to see AfroEconomics 50 years from now, still be based on the same 10 principles that I have.
How about that? Yeah.
Amen.
And so, actually, Kwanzaa was founded by Dr. Mulana Karenga, who was professor chair at California State University. And so, in essence, Kwanzaa means first harvest in Africa. And when you think of the first harvest, that's why you have the table, and you have the fruit, and you have the corn, and you have the unity cup, and all of those things is about the first harvest. And when you think about harvest, it's about growth, and it's also about preparedness. Because the harvest comes in the fall, right? And so we're getting ready for the winter. And as we are preparing for the winter, which oftentimes becomes our struggle. So here we are, the people, which is unity. and we are preparing for the winter, which is oftentimes our struggle, by harvesting our foods and canning them, and you jar them and you store them and everything else to get prepared for then the spring.
That's right.
Starts life again.
That's right.
And so again, there's so many things about Kwanzaa that connect just to living and how we go about addressing the 4 seasons.
Yes.
So that's why I advocate 365, 366 days.
That's right.
Because that is what we are doing.
And the interesting part also, if from a business perspective, that he chose creativity, because as Black business owners, we don't really have a competitive edge because we lack capital. We lack a lot of things of the world, but you can't take away my creativity, my imagination. When we're in a world of we have a family that's supporting our self-determination and all of the principles of Kwanzaa, then you're going to be creative and you're going to invent new things and you're going to have new ideas. And then that is our competitive edge.
That's right. And when you speak about creativity, one of the essence of Kwanzaa is we make gifts. You create a gift.
Create a gift.
Someone else.
That's right.
And many times the creativity is about ordinary things that we just didn't think about.
That's right.
For example,
that's right.
The apron. Think about for a moment how many uses what you can do with an apron.
That's right.
And considering, you can collect eggs with it, like you wipe things off with it, correct? There's so many things when you think about it. And so we start to talk about creativity in ordinary things, of which
that's right.
have extraordinary advantages that we use on a daily basis or can use on a daily basis. Should be thinking about using and reusing in ordinary things in ways, in which the lemon is another one.
It's so true. That's so true.
How many things that help you with it? You squirt it on seafood.
That's so true.
Bacteria and everything else.
That's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
But Cheryl, you really hit it and right on the head. And it's just like, just like being a plumber. Nobody, I'm like, with the things that we look over, the opportunities, of being a plumber, or even the fact of like being the most creative plumbers. And there is a plumber on YouTube, I know, that has the most popular channel and is a multi-millionaire just because they made videos about how to unclog your toilet, and it became the most popular.
There you go.
So there's like, but yet we're telling our kids, you don't want to be a plumber. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be that. What it's like, no, they want to be whatever they want to be. Being in your occupation. And that choice, I was looking at like some of the most, the wealthiest people in the world. And, there's the wealthiest man in Africa. I mean, this Black man has like over 14, some people say $24 billion, and he does cement. Girl. He has a cement company, Andrew. Come on, y'all. He's not a registered investment advisor and setting up portfolios and all this stuff. He sells cement through, people all over Africa.
How about that?
And so that's like that. That those are like, you hit it right on the nose. Like, creativity is, right in front of us.
Yes, and so one of the activities that I do with the student, like this shirt right here, it's about Black history, right? The front of it. The back of it are inventions, right? And so, for example, the students come up and we just talk about some things that we created. Air conditioning, the all ice cream scoop, the handstand, lunch pails, the mop, peanut butter, shampoo headrest,
Wow.
spark plugs, stethoscope, the folding bed, fire extinguisher, gas mask.
Amazing.
Yes.
Those are things we as people of color have created because of creativity.
Wow. Yes.
And so think about adding to this list.
Yes.
And
How do you get one of those shirts?
Hello?
How do you get one of those shirts?
Okay. Actually, there's a vendor. His name is Jack Lieberman. The website is progressiverags.com. He's a Jewish guy in Florida that focuses on labor issues, African-American civil rights, health care, all those things. Awesome.
I'm letting more people in to say hi to you before you go. I'm just like, if they want to say hi.
And oftentimes, what he even does is like for the themes of African-American History Month, he prepares a shirt or two or in that regard as well. And almost all of them have something on the back that's also something that you can use. So many times when I travel, people think I carry a whole lot of clothes. As long as I ain't sweating too much, I just wear the same shirt but wear it in the back.
I love it. even our how old is the baby, Kathy?
18 months.
18 months. That's right. See, he wants a t-shirt too.
He needs a t-shirt.
Right, Ms. Walton?
That's right.
That's right. He knows what he wants. He didn't say nothing till he saw that shirt. Yeah, give me one. But thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Cheryl, so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I hope you, I just, when you give of yourself like that, I know, and you really never know how much you've impacted people's lives or their experience during these holidays or changed their perspective on even the Black National Anthem. The next time we hear it, we're going to, think of you, and we're going to make sure we know all of it and wonder why they stopped on the first stanza.
That's right. Or just sing, or at least, know in advance or try to get to people in advance who are planning the program. And to say,
that's right.
You know what? We really need to sing our entire history.
Yes. Yes.
The song covers our whole diaspora. And please view the Balm and Gilead rendition. Just really quickly, the way that I found it, I took my mom to Barack Obama's first inauguration. It was the inaugural ball was the faith-based. And so it was awesome. And the Balm and Gilead put this video together. And it was so fantastic that people kept asking, how can we get it? How can we get it? And so about a year and a half later, they released it. And it is a fundraiser for their cause. And so if you get a chance to, to view it, it's outstanding. And it has the words written right on it.
Whoa. This sister singing a song about Kwanzaa. And she busted out, did she? She had a lot to say. I'm gonna have to keep my day job. Because I was totally looking for Lift Every Voice, I was.
So
and I found it that day that we were celebrating your wonderful retirement. I found that day. Remember that day?
And again, all you just need to either type in Balm and Gilead or Lift Every Voice and sing Balm and Gilead, and the video will pop up.
That's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I try to play it wherever I go because it just gives our whole history. And now they actually have a teaching guide that goes along with it that identifies the people.
You're so good. Well, thank you. Mr. Piercy, we see your name, but we can't see you. But as y'all leave me, I will make sure I play all three stanzas.
All right.
of the wrong of the wrong version, but you know, at least it has the words.
But that's some of the words. That's some of the words.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, JB.
A couple people said they want a shirt, Cheryl.
All right, I tell you what, I'll
Thank you, JB.
send to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it out to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Dreamer.
He's actually a brother. He shows up for all the marches and everything. I was wearing a shirt.
Whoa.
He was selling them at a table.
He
So
was
I
selling
was I walked in and I said, Mr. Lieberman. Yeah, I said, I got your shirt on. Hello. There we go.
And he noticed that, oh, you're so good. You are good. You are true. You are true. You are true. Thank you. Oh, look at him. This has truly been a family affair.
Yeah.
Like none other. God bless y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, baby.
For having me.
Thank you.
And
And if you need the info, you can send it to me and I'll forward it. I'll get it from Cheryl and we'll get it to you. All right. Until next Wednesday and next year for Cheryl, make it an annual tradition, girlfriend.
And let me while you're going, I'll show you my purchase. Here's my black flag.
I love it. I love it. You gotta give me that. I love it. You gotta give me that.
I just ordered it recently, so I was like, ooh, black flag. Hello, hello. There we go. Our black African American flag right there.
Wow. That's powerful. I love it. Thank you, superstar. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
I appreciate it.
I'm gonna sing now. I'm not. I've gone that far before. Oh, that was it. I made it today.
You guys are great. You're great. You're great. So check out Balm and Gilead, and you will love it. And still, please.
Yes, because it brings it up to date. Yeah, I love that video. Yeah. Thank you, baby. You're the best.
Pleasure. And thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Kwanzaa time. And just remember 365 days of Kwanzaa, 366 leap year. We can't go wrong. We got
to earn it.
Yeah.
You're true to the Sankofa today, boy. You have changed some lives. Get some rest.
Again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to share.
Oh no, thank you. I thank God for you.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I'm going to sign off. All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.